So, what does it take to fill the shoes of an absolute legend? Today, we're jumping into the origin story of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. He's the son who was destined to take over the incredible legacy of the great warrior king, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. But, this isn't just a story about some prince. It's about how a hero is born.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this, it's the year 1657, and we're in the heart of Maharashtra. Now, this is not some peaceful, quiet time. No way. This is an era of constant conflict. Empires are clashing, and literally, the map of India is being redrawn right before people's eyes. And it's right into this storm that our story begins. And in this land, which is just buzzing with this new spirit of rebellion, a new birth was about to mean so much more than just a family celebration. The entire future of the Maratha dream of Swaraja, complete self-rule. It was all hanging in the balance, just waiting for its next champion. All right, so let's dive right into it. Part 1, A Hero is Born.
So on May 14th, 1657, inside the mighty Purandar fort, an heir was born. To Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and his wife, Sai-Bai, a son arrived, Sambhaji, who everyone would soon come to know as Shambhu Raja.
But here's what you gotta understand. The huge celebration wasn't just because a prince was born. For Shivaji Maharaj and all of his people, this kid, he was the living, breathing embodiment of their future. He was the promise that their fight for an independent Maratha kingdom was going to continue, that it was going to last.
Of course, a crown doesn't come without some heavy burdens, and Sambhaji's path was paved with hardship from the absolute get-go. Which brings us to Part 2, Challenges from Birth. In what is just a devastating turn of events, when Sambhaji was only 2 years old, his mother, Sai-Bai, passed away. For a child that young, this was an unimaginable loss, one that would leave a permanent mark on his entire life.
And this is really the key takeaway here. This incredible pain, it didn't break him, it forged him. This tragedy actually became the very source of his resilience, building this core of toughness and an absolutely unshakable will that would define him for the rest of his life. And from that foundation of toughness, a truly remarkable person starts to emerge. So let's move on to Part 3 and take a look at the incredible combination of his intellect and his valor.
Right away, Sambhaji's intellect was just obvious, especially with his genius for languages. Just look at this list. Mastering Sanskrit, that made him a scholar. Marathi, of course, connected him to his own people, but learning Hindi, Urdu, and Persian, the languages of his rivals and his allies, wow, that was a total masterstroke. It gave him an incredible strategic edge in diplomacy and intelligence.
And we're not just talking basic fluency here. By the time he was 10 years old, he was already deep into poetry and scriptures that were so complex, they challenged even seasoned adult scholars. His mind was just on a completely different level.
And it wasn't just his father who noticed. His own tutors were just blown away. You can see it right here in this quote from them. This child is different. He will create history. They knew they weren't just teaching a prince, they were shaping a future legend.
See, Shivaji Maharaj wanted his son's education to be perfectly balanced. He was basically molding him into two people at once. On one hand, as you can see, he was the Ranveer, the fierce warrior, trained relentlessly in horsemanship, archery, all of it. But on the other hand, he was the Rajneta, the wise statesman. So while other kids were out playing, Sambhaji was deep in the study of strategy, weapons, and the art of how to rule.
So, what do you get when you put it all together? You have the noble birth, the tragic loss that fuels him, this brilliant mind, and the training of a warrior king. All these pieces came together to create a leader totally unlike any other. And this brings us to our conclusion, Part 4, the beginning of a new era.
So in the end, Sambhaji's birth really wasn't just a happy occasion. It was the dawn of a whole new age. A different kind of leader, one forged in tragedy and armed with sheer genius, had arrived. And the Maratha Empire would never, ever be the same.
This, of course, is just the beginning of his incredible story. And it leaves us with a really compelling question for next time. How would this brilliant, complex young prince manage the single most important relationship of his life? The one with his own larger-than-life father, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Well, we're going to explore that in our next explainer.